Hello and welcome to Ginger Prime. My name is Brian if you're new around here, but if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back, and might I say, you look absolutely stunning today. That's what you get for subscribing, by the way, free compliments and flattery at the start of my videos, but just for subscribers. Beyond that though, this video is here to help point out some of the biggest mistakes that new players make when jumping into Final Fantasy XIV for the first time, or perhaps returning after a long break from the game. Now, after putting this script for this video together, I asked the question to the community what mistakes they see new players make most. So after we dive into the top 5, we're going to highlight the community's response to this question as well to really help round out the video itself. However, if you feel like something is still missing from this list, please sound off in the comments below, and together we can make Final Fantasy XIV a more welcoming place for players all around the world. So let's kick this video off right with the biggest mistake first. This is something that goes unnoticed by new players and veterans the world over, so let's put that front and center. Back up your character and system settings at least once a month. The game offers you a tool that lets you save them to the cloud, so even if your PC crashes completely, you'll be safe. Thankfully, Final Fantasy XIV has a handy tool that makes this very easy and simple to use, so let me go ahead and show you how to do it. There's two different ways that you can back up. You can back up your client settings by clicking this button in the upper right hand corner from the character select, selecting proceed. It will tell you what is all included in your backup, and you can say upload. This is going to send it to the cloud itself. If you're trying to recover your data, you would select download, and that's going to take that from the cloud and bring it locally to your own system. You can even restore macros listed over here on the right hand side. Now, your character settings are on each individual character, and you can see the ones that actually are backed up and the ones that are not. Clicking on backup character settings is going to give you the same notification window, and this will detail exactly what is being backed up to the cloud. Again, hitting upload is going to save that to the server. Clicking download is going to restore this from the server. You are limited on the number of uploads that you make, but if you do this at, like you could do it like probably once a day and not ever really run into an issue, this is going to save you all kinds of time and stress. Yes, you can back this up locally to your own PC, but again, if you have multiple devices, this is a real easy way of making all of your settings just kind of follow you around no matter where you go. The second biggest mistake that new players make is rushing to endgame. This is a practice that other games in the genre have set, but Final Fantasy XIV is different to some degree. Final Fantasy XIV has pillars. These act as both independent RPGs, but also as a saga that the game weaves together. While other MMORPGs have set up a culture that the real game is the endgame and nothing else, Final Fantasy XIV is different. It has an endgame worth experiencing, mind you, but it has that for each pillar in the game itself. While the choice is always up to you, the player, the theme of the game is, as long as you're having fun, you're doing it right. But if you do find yourself later in the game wishing that maybe you didn't skip a certain cutscene, or you want to go and re-experience a part of the story that you didn't either understand, or perhaps you were caught up in that culture of rush to endgame, fear not. The game has a system for you. It's called New Game Plus. This will allow you to open up any chapter of the game's previous that you've experienced or skipped and be able to return to that, so that way you can play this at your own pace. So if you do feel like you have to rush to endgame, you can't break out of that mindset, note that the game also supports it so that you can easily jump back in and experience it at your own pace without that added pressure that you're putting on yourself. So in a way, you get to experience the story for the first time again. The third mistake I see a lot of new players make is they get stuck on chasing the new shiny. To jump right off the rushing to endgame point, one thing that keeps players actually from getting to the different pillars of Final Fantasy XIV is consistently changing, trying something new in the game and never making it past any of the key milestones that the game has set out for you. For example, calling back to the core aspect of Final Fantasy XIV, you'll see many players do this in A Realm Reborn, the first entry 2.0 into this incredible epic. And that's to say they never end up reaching level 50, and they never unlock the ARR endgame. They never unlock flying in the original zones. They're stuck in a 1 to 30 kind of treadmill and ultimately end up leaving the game because they never get out of that. There's a lot of stuff to chase in this game. And like I said, the key aspect is as long as you're having fun, you're doing it right. And so there are players who can level everything up to 30 and then level everything up to 40 and then level everything up to 50. It can be done, but overall, the vast majority of players tend to burn out in that range when they live in it over and over again. So that's why I usually always recommend making sure that you get through A Realm Reborn. Not that it's something of a challenge, because it is truly a great game. However, when you get caught in that loop, you're going to end up seeing all the advertising for things that you'll never see because you'll only experience the first 30 levels. And then you come and leave a comment in one of my videos saying, I played the first 30 levels 10 times and it really didn't change much. And I'm going to say, yeah, that's a fact. That's exactly what happens. So ultimately, if you guys can get to level 50 and you can unlock flying, you're going to actually start opening up new jobs there as well. There's a lot to explore. There's a lot of shiny to chase, but you're going to end up having way more, I guess, of a buffet at your hands and, to really kind of dive in and feed a hunger. So that way, if you feel like progressing through the story in the world, you can. But if you feel like leveling up something else, you can. And you're going to have so much quality of life just at your fingertips. It is going to make a very key difference in your overall enjoyment of the game. As we move into number 4, this is where players get caught up or worried about the quote unquote meta of the game. I've seen a lot of new players stress over what the current meta is and what they pick for their job, rather than just pick the one that they really want to play the most. I think it's important to have fun with the job that you're playing rather than worrying about what one meta says about that specific job. Patches and expansions will actually change the overall game, and enough of the systems are being balanced and monitored by the devs at any one moment. So even if you feel a little weak maybe at some point, you're going to be able to bring more of that job by working on your skills rather than worrying about the meta. As you get ready to dive into Savage Raids or even Ultimates, you're going to be more in tune with different party setups and strats, but normal content is going to be very welcoming to you as a player. So just because you hear somebody say that some job X is the best or some job Y is the worst, I wouldn't even worry about it unless you're working with a dedicated group of 7 other people and then kind of finding the right fit for that specific group. All the jobs are fun. You're not going to make a wrong decision. You're going to be welcome in content and groups. And depending on the day or the patch, the dev team will make sure that things get adjusted. So if you're worried about it, don't. It's just going to be fun, fine, and you're going to be the key difference in the job and how it performs. And finally, number 5 is forgetting to keep up with your class or job quests. The class quest is an important step in your journey into Final Fantasy XIV, and these quests unlock every 5 levels. If you're very curious, you can always use the MSQ Finder, the scenario tool here in the game itself, to find your next quest and your class quest. Just click on the small text below and it will show you where you need to go for your class quest. So this gets updated automatically while the MSQ is the main banner. So the system is going to help keep this information in front of you so that way you don't end up getting lost. Besides just earning gear from these quests, these are very valuable quests because there are skills, and even your job stone is going to unlock at level 30. And you want to make sure that you equip your job stone as it's the next step in your evolution going from a class to a job. So be sure to do that once you've unlocked your job, as it will be the main source of your progression for the rest of the game. So that's the top 5 mistakes that new players make when jumping into Final Fantasy XIV, but now let's take a look at what the community has to say to give you the most well-rounded experience possible. So asking this question on Twitter, here's what you guys had to say. Not upgrading their armor. I've been level 20 in 27 dungeons with people that have level 12 armor equipped. Level 50 dungeons with level 30 plus armor. This is especially bad for new tanks as they are extremely squishy. Let me show you guys that in game specifically. If you guys are curious, you always just need to pull up your character menu. And if you go over to recommended gear, it's going to automatically tell you, hey, there's better gear that you can equip. And you just hit equip and it's going to automatically set that. If you've never worked with gear sets, by the way, this allows you to easily change between jobs and different gear that's set up. So if you want to have like a specific glamour set or a look, you can easily do that by clicking on the little plus button to make additional sets as possible. And you can see here you have a maximum right now, for me, at 45 sets, but you unlock more gear sets with more job unlocks that you do. So just kind of keep that in mind. Recommended gear and also gear sets are going to be a huge help for you as a player. I have seen new players in Armoro dungeon not wearing their I-34 job gear that you can get right before the dungeon because they didn't realize the NPC had free gear for you, and they're usually like level I-415 gear. And what that's referring to is Gnault here. You just need to talk to them and they'll go ahead and tell you what different gear that you can equip, what is available. So feel free to come check this out as well. So as you progress into the story, when you get to this point, you're going to know where this guy is. I'm not going to reveal anything else to you because it might be slightly spoilery. So just note, this is where you can see him in game, and that's what that comment refers to. Gobez says pulling with provoke. Grim says, I'm currently leveling an alt character to play around with. What I've seen so far, tanks not turning on their tank stance, players not reading party chat or listening to others for advice and taking it as quote unquote hate speech. And you should know this mechanic, vet, to the Sprout on their first dungeon. Yes. Try to treat everybody with respect. Just make sure that when you're in a piece of content and you're saying, hey, I might be new, this is my first time here, that ends up being very helpful. And yes, if you're a veteran, don't be mean to Sprouts. We want them here. Nick says, number one is definitely not using all of their abilities and holding off using their global cooldowns forever. Single targeting mobs in level 50 plus dungeons. Senatus here says, being scared to ask questions, believing any form of X job is bad, and writing off jobs at level 50 or 60 because the jobs that start at those levels are designed better than the level of the olden jobs. Jin says, not figuring out where to get proper gear and endgame segments. We have guides here on Ginger Prime, just FYI, so feel free to dive into those. Check the playlist in this video. Link is at the top link in the description. Hermes says, heal too frequently and not do damage on downtimes. And he's referring to healers in this case. Being a summoner and forgetting to summon all the way through your level 1 to 60 and counting. Yes, you do be sure to make sure that you understand your full class mechanic. You can spend a little time reading your tooltips, or you can always check out a video guide that's going to help really break down some of the nuance of the new job or class that you're playing. Gracia says, equipping your jobstone. Yes, you have it in your inventory, but it's not the same as equipping it. And jumping back to the game to highlight this specifically, if you go to your character and you go down here to the bottom right, this is where you're going to see your various jobstones as you unlock them. So once you first get them, you got to go equip it, and that's what's going to evolutionize yourself into that specific job. So be sure to kind of take advantage of that as well. Dragon says, jump potions. Obviously a very hot topic. You can always weigh in the comments below whether you like jump potions or not. I know I've made my opinion on it very clear. So Stuart says, quitting out of a dungeon at the first wipe. Give it at least, I would always say, like, give it at least 3 or 4. Everybody's going to have their own threshold. I've seen people literally, like, at the first, like, sign of bad, they're like, this isn't going to go as fast as I like. I'll take the 30-minute penalty and bounce. And at the end of the day, like, they are missing out on a really good fun time. Joe says, I'm a new player. Can you tell me? Well, good news, Joe. This video is up and live. Hopefully I'll remember to include a link in the description for you. Geeks Thread here says, I'll tell you something I did. I didn't understand where everyone had gone in Hawk Manor when they pressed the return button. Got lost trying to find out everyone, and I quit the dungeon. Fun times. As you progress, the level 28 dungeon is called Hawk Manor. There's going to be a point where you kill the second boss in the basement. You can actually use the return command in game, and I'll go ahead and show that to you guys. If you aren't aware of it, as you unlock and travel, you're going to unlock a return spell. Using return will allow you to jump to the start of a dungeon. This works actually in every dungeon, but the nature of Hawk Manor means that you can actually fastly get to the start of the dungeon, because that's going to let you go upstairs and fight the final boss. So that's what that refers to. Thank you, Geeks Gamer Thread. And with that, we come to the end of this video, guys. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. It really means the world to me. If you like this video and you like the style of this video, I've actually worked with a very talented content creator and editor named Wizfish on this video specifically. You can check out his tag below. You might also really enjoy his Final Fantasy XIV is different, here's why video. So be sure to check that one out if you're looking for more Final Fantasy content to watch after this one. So much, I can't thank you guys enough for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you're new here to this channel and you do feel like I've earned your subscription, hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments so I can welcome you officially to the channel. I hopefully, nothing else, I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully you got something good out of this video. I look forward to your feedback and also your answers to the questions that this video asks itself. But without further ado, I wish you all the best. Hopefully I'll see you in my next video, but until then, take care.